Hi, this is Karen, and welcome to another Throwback Thursday at dolallycrafts. I'm getting a sense of deja vu here, maybe because I've done this introduction about 10 times now and I keep stuffing up or remember I've forgotten something. Okay, as I said, this is the card we're making today, and I even made the matching envelope ahead of time, complete with these little fireflies all over the envelope as well. We're using the Jar of Love stamp set, and I love that it's got these little fireflies. I think that's what they're called, or lightning bugs over in America, and I absolutely love them. Now, all of the sizes that you'll need for this can be found on my blog, but we will be using a piece of window sheet. We will need a spare piece of Whisper White layering weight cardstock for the handle. You'll need a piece of the flax ribbon, which I think adds a really nice touch of texture. You'll need a backing piece of white Whisper White. You'll also need the top Whisper White, some Daffodil Delight, another scrap to do your stamping for your sentiment on. As I said, all of the sizes can be found on my blog. The link is in the description box below if you're new to my channel. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you subscribe, ring the notification bell so that you don't miss one of my videos. I usually have 3 videos come out each week. Yeah, so if you don't want to miss any, ring the notification bell. Now, for the envelope, you'll notice I also have this stamped here, and that is from the Better Than Email stamp set. Now, this is no longer available from Stampin', but if you go onto one of the Facebook groups for secondhand stamp sets from Stampin', you might be able to pick yourself up one of those sets. And the For You is also out of the Jar of Love stamp set. It's just up the top here. I used it in one of my other videos, but I don't know whether you can see the shimmer on those. I've used my Wink of Stella to actually paint the firefly's wings, so they actually glitter and sparkle, and it's the same on here. You won't be able to probably pick it up as much, but yeah, I went all out on this card and I really love it. As I said, all the sizes can be found on my blog, and the size of the cardstock is 11 inches by 4 inches, and it's scored at 5.5. So you've got a 5.5 inch top folding note card here, and I'm just going to give that a burnish with my bone folder. So that's all ready to go, and I've even stamped the inside and adhered a couple more of the fireflies and their sparkles inside. Okay, let's get on with the card now. I made this a week and a half ago, so I have to remember which pieces come first. Okay, so we will bring in our main panel on the front to begin with, and I've got everything already set up on my stamp blocks. So first off, I have to stamp the jar on the very front panel, and I'm going to set it off to the side slightly so that there's more room for the sentiment. Give it a good press and then lift it off. That's perfect. Now I have to, before I do anything else, I need to bring in my big shot and take out the middle part of this jar. But what I might do, on the sample card, I actually used some of the Daffodil Delight to give it a bit of sparkle all the way around the jar. So I'll come back in with my Wink of Stella. I'm going to separate some of the Daffodil Delight over here so that it's quite soft, and then just go around the very edge of the jar, because if the fireflies are in there, this jar is going to be lit up I would assume. Since we don't get fireflies or lightning bugs over here in Australia, I'm not absolutely sure, but I've seen a friend's back garden filled with fireflies. He actually took a photo of it and it looked amazing. To me, they would well and truly light up a jar if they were inside one. So I'm going with that anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong, as I'm sure some of you will. Okay, so Daffodil Delight is over there for now. Bring in the centre of our jar. Now this comes from the Jar of Love matching dies. If you have them, great. If you don't, once again, you might be able to pick a set up of these on one of the Facebook website, one of the Facebook secondhand sites. So I'm just going to stick that down and I will bring in my big shot. Move all of these out the way to the side so I don't lose them. Bring in my well-loved plates. I do have new plates, but I'm reluctant to use them only because we can't get them from Stampin' Up anymore because they're not continuing with the big shop. Their contract was up with Sizzix, so they're looking into getting a new die cutting system from what I understand. And even though I've got new plates, I don't really want to use them at the moment. Okay, so we have our jar cut out. So I want to keep my die cut there. Now, the other die cut out of this is a tiny little firefly. Now, I did all of these beforehand. I stamped, coloured, and then die cut them out because I'm sure you don't want to sit and watch, even fast forwarding, me cutting out more than half a dozen fireflies. Okay, the next thing we're going to do for this is pop our window sheet just on the back of the front panel. What I might do is use some glue tape for this, only because I don't want it slipping, and I'm not overly confident with snail as far as this goes. I'm more confident that this will hold up over time. I can remember making a card years back before they improved the quality of glue dots. It wasn't Stampin' Up glue dots, it was another glue dot company that I was using. And I made this gorgeous card, and when the recipient opened it, the buttons had all fallen off where I'd adhered them to. And I was really, really upset because I'd put so much effort into making the card, and then the buttons fell off before the recipient had even opened the envelope. Now, sorry about that. I forgot I actually needed 2 pieces of the... I've got glue on this. I needed 2 pieces of the acetate. Pop that one aside and grab another piece. Thankfully I've got a couple more sheets of this. So I'm cutting that to 2.5 inches, and it's the same size as the piece that was on there. Now I'm going to bring in my little glue dots again and my craft knife, and I'm going to take the glue dot and pop it on the back of my firefly. And I've got to remember where this is going to actually fit. So about there on that one. Now in with a bit more. Oh, hang on, it wasn't that I used. As I said, I made this card over a week ago, and now I have to remember how I put it together. Okay, so I've put the dimensionals there around the edges of this piece of window sheet, and it keeps sticking to me. I'm trying to get placement correct. So there we go. And the reason I've done it that way is I wanted it so that the fireflies don't all stick to this top piece, so that there's a bit of dimension there. And then for a little bit more dimension, I'm going to stick dimensionals in the corner of this piece of window sheet. So it's actually 2 dimensionals high, and I'm going to have to layer dimensionals down the side here. Right, so the lids are off all of those, so I'll set that aside for a moment, and then we're going to come in with our layering piece, which is going to go behind this. So I need to figure out where this is going to go. So that's going to go about there. Yes. So I'm going to, whoops, come in with the snail and just put a piece at top and bottom, and it's about half an inch in from the top and from the bottom and the side. And then we're going to come in with the small firefly again and the smoky slate ink. And I've just got to figure out once again where these are going to go. So there's one about there. Whoops. Let's see if I can line him up again. That was not too bad. It's a bit blurred, but it just adds to the look of motion. And it doesn't matter if these other ones go off to the side at all, because it'll just give the jar the look that it's full of these little fellas. Okay, so I've popped 5 on the bottom, and this is where you'll see how I coloured them. So I'm going to come in, whoops, I've opened that up too far, with the balmy blue, and the balmy blue just goes at the end of each of his wings. Then in with the gorgeous grape. A firefly to be, because to me they just look like dragonflies in miniature. Now I'm going to bring the smoky slate back in, and I'm going to use the smoky slate to cover the first 2 bars of his body with the Daffodil Delight and give a nice bright bottom. The Daffodil Delight in my palette there. Okay, so that's them coloured in. Oh, before I put that away though, there's a tiny little stamp. I don't know whether you can see that. It just gives 3 or 4 little flashes as though the firefly's butt is flashing on and off. And so I'm just going to pop a little flash at the end of each of the fireflies' backsides. Okay, so that's that part of the card done, and I've just realised I put that upside down on the paper. Never mind, we're going to bring this in now, and we're going to try and evenly pop this around the edge of the Daffodil Delight, so we've got an even border. Now I don't know whether you can see that, but that has got so much dimension now. You can see that the fireflies aren't on this top piece, that they're actually suspended in the glass. I love that effect. Okay, now I'm going to come back in with the Daffodil Delight, And I'm going to pop these little flashes all over. We're going to now bring in the top of our mason jar, which is the handle, and our scrap piece of Whisper White and the smoky slate. So I'm going to stamp that down. Now you also, in the die set, you also get the handle of the mason jar. So I'll just move all of these out the way. Bring my, I should have done this before. There is our handle. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my tape and my piece of, what do they call it? Flax, I think it is. So pop the flax there with the double-sided tape. Peel that off, and then I'm going to scrunch the tape. And then peel it off. I don't want that end piece going because it's going to extend too far. So I'll bring that in and just flip it back on itself there at the edge. Okay, so we've got the mason jar there ready to go. That's undone itself a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to pop this over the top. So it's going to look, I wanted it to look reminiscent of a piece of netting or something that you'd put over the top of the jar so that the fireflies still had a bit of oxygen and wouldn't die on the way back to your house. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Every living creature needs air. You don't want to starve them of it. Okay, and then we come back in with our handle, and we're going to put the handle over the top there, and I'm going to do that. Now, what did I fix it with last time? I think it was with some Tombow. So just a little bit of Tombow across the top there, just a very thin stream of it across there, and hold that down for a minute or two so that it adheres. And another thing I would hope, if you went catching fireflies, you wouldn't leave them out the next day in the sun, like I did with a scorpion when I was little. When we lived in England, I caught a scorpion. They do have scorpions in England. And I caught a scorpion, and I had it in a jar. Well, the only jar Mum had was an old jam jar, so I got the jam jar and put the scorpion in, and then proceeded to leave the jam jar out in the sun, and not realising that not only do the scorpions need air, but even though they like the sun, they're not supposed to be left in a jar, that the temperature could rise so high that the scorpion actually boils in the jar. Yes, I was terrible. Okay. Enough of my reminiscing. I've fixed the top of that with a glue dot because I need this spot here to be open for the next part. And I've just realised I don't have the cotton here. So you'll have to bear with me. I'll have to go in search of... Ah, how was that? We found it. Okay, so I need a piece of thread. Cotton. I only had it that long so that I could tie it properly. So there's the cotton. I'll move that to the side so it's out the way. Move that, get all of this out the way, except for the card base. We'll bring the card base in because the card is almost finished. So, whoops, snail on the back of the card. Don't know what's going on with my snail. It's going everywhere. Okay, and make sure we have the card base the right way up, and that can go nice and flat to the card base like so. Then we come in with the other scrap of paper. Remember I said at the beginning we needed 2 scraps. In with the other scrap of paper and, whoops, the sentiment. And the sentiment says, "You light up my life." Now, I have mentioned before that I don't have all of the markers. One that's close to balmy blue in colour and one that is close to gorgeous grape. So I'm going to do the bottom of the sentiment, and these are Stabilo markers. So top and bottom. Should have done the blue first, but never mind. Okay, so we've got the blue and the purple. Give it a huff. And there we go. Okay, so we'll stamp that and then trim it out. And I'm just going to use a pair of scissors for this. Like so. And then I'm coming in with a 1/16 of an inch punch and just punching a hole in the end. And then we're going to pass the thread through. And then I'm going to pass this under. Probably would have been a lot easier to have done this before I actually fixed the handle onto the jar. But you know me, never an easy way. And the cotton has now all twisted. Okay. So we're going to pass that through like so, and there, that's fixed to the jar now. And in with, okay, in with a couple of skinny dimensionals on the back. 1, 2, peel off the backing, and whoops, just going to fix that there like so. And then we're going to open the inside up, and I'm going to bring in the 2 colours again. Give it a good huff. And pop that in the centre, which says thanks. And then I'm going to come in with another 2 of the little fireflies and glue dots. And 1 down the bottom here. And 1 at the top pointing inwards. And that is our card finished. Oh, hang on, there was one little bit. I decided it needed to look more countrified. So I came in with the grey marker. So move all the stuff off to the side. Here we go. There's there's the sample, and that's the one I've just done with you. I think it looks really, really cute. And add the envelope into the mix, and I think you've got a perfect little gift card set up there. I hope you liked today's Throwback Thursday, and you will join me again on Sunday for setting up the first of our July weeks. We're moving into week 27 of the year, and yeah, it'll be the 1st to the 7th of July. And then next Tuesday I will be back with another Casing the Catty. Okay, until then, I will say goodbye.